Hey everyone, welcome back to The Pulse. Today we're going to talk about life with pets and what that looks like for us. Our pets help us with our schedule, staying active, and they can offer emotional support when we really need it most. What's not to love? This is part one of a two-part series. Today we'll start with our pets and the realities that we have had with our pets, from finding a vet in our area to building relationships. So you guys both have pets?
Yes.
Yep.
What kind of pets do you have?
I have a dog. She's a Silky Bichon Shih Tzu cross.
Hmm.
And I have a gecko, a crested gecko specifically.
What? That's so cool.
And you are currently pup sitting for your sister.
Yes. So I got two puppers around right now. It's awesome. And then I get to snuggle with a kitty when I go to my boyfriend's place.
Oh, that's awesome. Erin, what about you?
Currently, it is two cats. One is a tortoiseshell female, and we have a domestic short-haired black cat, both of whom are rescues. One was from Oklahoma, and the other was through RAPS here in Richmond. But previously, I've had a Bichon Poodle mix as well as a couple of guinea pigs.
Pretty sure I've always had some kind of animal at either of my parents' places. And then when I moved out of home, I moved in with someone who had two dogs. Then we got two cats. Then we found a rescue cat, and then we found another rescue cat. And it was like, okay, we have six animals. It might be time to consider stopping with the collection. Do you guys sleep with your pets?
Yes. Well, my dog anyway.
What about you, Erin?
One of my cats likes to sleep with me, and the other one sleeps with my parents.
Nice. Yeah, my cats always slept with me too. I didn't mind.
Yeah, when we had our dog, he would go between my parents and I. I'm not sure more about my sister, but I know she would often shut the door so he wouldn't sleep with her.
Yeah, I find I sleep way better when my dog is sleeping with me versus like if I go somewhere and I can't bring her with me where I'm staying overnight, I don't sleep as well.
I think for people with autism, we have a difficult time, not always, but some of them, a large part of us have a difficult time building social relationships with people. Whereas when you have an animal and it's just unconditional love, it's a much easier, less pressure social situation, right?
Yeah, definitely. I always found it great, like how if I didn't have anybody I could really talk to, my dog was always there. And we've had a few dogs throughout my life and a couple of cats, and they were always there if I didn't have anybody else. And you could always just like talk at them with no fear of judgment. And if you got sad, they just come and snuggle into you and they're like, it's okay, I got you. So it was always really nice to have that feeling of support right there all the time. So
I like having animals around because even though they're being themselves, sometimes they are with their different kind of personalities and such. They can be rather goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Either it's just in terms of their behavior or something that they do. It's honestly rarely ever a dull moment at home because of them.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my sister's little guy that I'm watching is so funny. He gets so excited when she comes to pick him up. Like when she first started leaving him, it was kind of like when parents start leaving their kids at like preschool or kindergarten or whatever. And he was like, no, don't go. And now he started realizing that she'll be back. But it's so funny. Every time she comes back, still like start jumping up on her, and he starts like hyperventilating because he's so excited. It's the cutest thing.
It's just so cute.
Yeah, they make you feel so loved because they always get so excited when you come home. And yeah, they're always the first one there to greet you, and they just make you feel so loved and so special.
Unless it's a cat. My cats
Unless
used
it's
to
a
get
cat.
they used to get so mad at me when I would go away for some time. They would ignore me when I got back. Like totally just ignore me. Damn, guys. I'm sorry. I have a life. It doesn't
They're
revolve
very,
around you.
they can be very silly and they have their own different ways of being sucky
Oh, it's so
when
true,
they
hey?
want to get attention. One cat, she doesn't really like to lie on you, but she likes to lie next to you. And my mom often describes her like she's like a really nice armrest. And the other one, Dad was against getting a second cat at first. My mom kind of just fell in love with his eyes, and it was, you know, how it is, right? Our cat, he really likes to be with my dad, even though my dad was the one most against getting him. Our cat comes up and he settles on my dad's lap. Like sometimes barely a minute passes before he does that.
That's sweet. So most people will say, do you like cats or dogs? There are so many other domesticated animals that people have.
My uncle owns ferrets, owned a number of ferrets, and I've known at least two people who've owned rabbits.
I had some freshwater lobsters at one point.
As a pet?
Yeah, I found them much more interesting than fish. They were pretty cool. And like if I would like sit by the glass and like talk to them, they would actually like come to the side of the glass and like look at me. It was kind of neat. Um, and I had a friend at one point who had I think she had a chinchilla. That was pretty cool. She's the only person I've known to have one. It was really neat, like, because you give them like a sand bath instead of an actual bath. You're
Oh,
not supposed to put them in the water.
interesting.
So, the different ways that you care for them was really interesting to learn.
So that's another important point too, is pet care. It's great having a pet. It's wonderful, it's fun, they're awesome, such great energy. But then you have to think about things like they need exercise, they need the right food. You actually have to spend quality time with them. If you have a cat, there's gonna be poop in your house every day that you have to throw out. Gross. And there's things like grooming and when they're aging. And something really important is the vet care. I don't have, or I didn't have a savings for my pets. So if one of them had to go to the vet suddenly, it was kind of like, oh crap, there goes that money that I had, set aside for whatever for that month. So that's something else. And like, I don't know if you guys have heard of pet insurance.
I actually found out about it about a year ago. I had to take my dog into the vet because she was getting some really bad ear infections, and they had a pamphlet on it. Um, and I think that's really cool because then the money's always there to take them to the vet.
Hmm.
Whereas like you said, like all of the savings that I had set aside went towards getting her checkup and dealing with her ear infection, which it would have been really cool to have pet insurance. The last time I took her to the vet was several years before that, and they didn't say anything about it then. But
It just depends on what services that the vet has, I guess.
And what's covered under that insurance. So our vet
Hmm.
told us not to get pet insurance. He said just set aside some money every month because if something happens that's not covered, well, what did you spend all that money for insurance for, right? But at the same time, I totally see your point where if you have, something that's good to go, that maybe, they would work with you a little bit more. I don't know. Do you guys have good vets?
yeah, the vet that I started going to because I had to switch from her original vet because it was much further away
Hmm.
because we moved since the last time I had taken her to the vet. So the new vet was like really great with her, and she's like my dog has really bad anxiety, so it's really important to me that the vets are really good with that. So
Yeah.
so yeah, her new vet is really great. I have to go to a different vet if I have to take my gecko in, though,
Hmm.
because there's only 3 vets in the lower mainland that will actually see reptiles. And the one closest to me is only in on Mondays. So if something happens in between then, there is one animal hospital who like a 24/7 animal hospital who I found that will like look at him, but they're not experts in reptiles, so they're
Right.
like so they can kind of tell me, okay, we think he's okay, or no, you should probably travel to the farther away vet who is in today or tomorrow and get him looked at now.
Yeah.
But yeah, reptile care is a lot harder when it comes to vets because there's so few that actually are knowledgeable about reptiles. And even the ones who are just like, they kind of know, but they don't like super know. A
Hmm.
lot of places will turn you away if you have a reptile. They won't even look at a reptile. So, yeah,
Uh,
I don't
so it just
know.
depends on where you are.
Yeah. in places where reptiles are maybe more widely owned, they probably have more reptile vets, but in places where they're less common pets, like the lower mainland, it's really hard to find a vet.
What about you, Erin? Do you have a good vet?
There's a couple of vet doctors that we've been working with a number of years. But I think it's because it's the familiarity. They've been familiar with the number of animals that we've had. I think that definitely helps in terms of the people. So it's part of the long time relationship.
And so you guys are happy with you feel comfortable at your vet's office, like, as a person, as a person caring for an animal, you feel comfortable there.
Yeah. Because I
So,
know that they have had their own pets and they share their own experiences with some things.
mhm,
So yeah.
amazing. So that's something else that, and maybe we can come back to this conversation because I feel like we actually have a lot more to cover. But what I want to talk about is overall pet care and the logistics of the day-to-day living with a pet, from deciding that you actually are ready for it to the end of life and grieving process. That does it for today's episode. Come back next week when we talk about surprising pet behavior, training, aging pets, and the grieving process. As always, if you have topics or ideas you'd like us to discuss, or if you want to be a guest on the show, send an email to voa@pacificautismfamily.com. We look forward to more of your great questions. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.